Hey there, everyone. It's Dr. Danielle Clark. You're here with the Win-Win Women Network. This is Onwards with Dr. Danielle. This is a live show, but no worries at all. If you're catching the recording, it's still the same good information and the same good energy. I'm a business professor, psychic medium, intuitive life coach, spiritual teacher, and many other things, here to provide you healing conversations to help you get unstuck. I would love it if you'd check out some of my work. You can go to drdanielleclark.com. Said my name wrong, so I'm going to do that again. drdanielleclark.com. I have a blog I'm super proud of. I have a newsletter. I invite you to join just about twice a month. I'll send out a personal story paired with a affirmation and writing prompts to help you get unstuck and move onwards. Sometimes I focus on the little things in life. Sometimes I focus on how-tos. Recently, I just wrote an article about financial abundance. So yeah, check it out. And as a reminder, I'm always available for one-on-ones, whether it's mediumship or intuitive coaching. Okay, great. So today's episode 5, is focused on healing shame. And this might be one of my favorite episodes thus far because it's a topic that is so transforming. And so I really, before we get into the information of it all, I really just want you to lock eyes with me right now. And I want you to feel me when I say, I get you. I understand you. You're not alone. I am you. And I am here, literally here, right here. It's all energy. I am here with you. Whatever it is that's heavy, know that I've experienced it too. Others have experienced it too. Shame is a universal emotion. You are not as alone. You are not as stuck as you think. Whatever it is, I've cheated. I've lied. I've walked down some really dark roads. I've done the taboo. I've done the unthinkable. I've done the mean. And I've healed and I've forgiven myself and I've grown. So whatever it is, give yourself that as well. It is your right to heal. So today what we're going to do is help you understand some of the science behind shame, because one of the big things about shame is it feels so lonely and so unique. But once you realize a lot of research exists about shame, you'll realize like, oh, that's me. And hopefully start to realize that bigness you're feeling doesn't have to be as big, because again, it's a universal emotion. One of the big things I need to ask you to do right now is not identify your shame with as a story, because we all have different stories, and sometimes it's just the little things in life that might give us the feeling of the biggest shame, or maybe it is those big things. But whatever the actual story is, right? Maybe you were sexually abused, maybe you lied to a partner, maybe you said something awful to your mom, maybe you used drugs, whatever it is. Try during this episode and beyond, try not to say, well, nobody has my story, because it's not about the story. We all understand the universal flow and feelings of shame. And I think if you start leaning into your shame story with more of a open-minded perception of what it is, as opposed to locking in on the details, you'll be able to grow. You'll be able to heal with more ease and grace. So as we're talking, I'm going to try to be as generic as possible, give you a few of my own personal shame stories. But again, it's more just about helping you understand the flow of shame. The specifics don't matter. So that thought looping you're doing, we're going to talk about that a little bit later too. Stop. The details don't matter. So let's just get on the same page with shame. I am reviewing some slides, so if I don't make perfect eye contact with you, I just want you to know I'm just looking at the information to make sure we don't miss a beat, because I care about you and everything I'm giving you. So shame. Here's a few things that I want you to understand. Shame is the lowest level of consciousness. And so what that means is we're all energetic beings. We're all vibrating, if you will. And there's so many emotions that we experience as humans. And shame is the lowest. It is the most depleting. It is the one that blocks and shuts down our energy center the most. Shame is even lower than grief and fear. So understanding that is important, because we don't want shame shutting down our system, and it has the power to do that. When we experience shame, it is man-made. It's not something that's innate. It's not something that's natural. We are born with an abundance of love operating through us, and the universe offers us love. And so that shame is something we create. Oftentimes it shows up as a distortion of truth. And that's important for you to understand too. If you're harboring shame, chances are you're seeing your world, your actions, other people's actions with some sort of a filter on you that's not serving you. So shame grows, shame breathes through secrecy, silence, and judgment. Secrecy, silence, and judgment. So those are the three ingredients to make it grow. So you're here today, and I'm sending you all sorts of energy and love as I talk to heal your shame. And you need to be honest with yourself. You need to say, where am I being secret? Where am I hiding my feelings? Where am I hiding my actions? Silence. Where am I isolating myself from my community? Where am I not speaking up? And judgment. Where are you judging yourself, and where are you judging others? Healing your shame, if you focus on those three categories, you're going to make significant improvements. Shame, it engulfs us, it suffocates us, and it can really impact the way that we view and show up for the world, both spiritually, emotionally, mentally, and physically. So there's so many things that it's doing to us. And here's what it sounds like. Because maybe you're watching this and you're like, well, I don't know if it's shame, or I'm too distorted or clouded or depleted to even understand. Shame typically sounds like some of these phrases. I'm a monster. No one will understand me. I'm an outsider. I'm different. I'm bad. I'm wrong. I'm unlovable. Those types of situations that suffocate us, those types of verbiage that we give ourselves, that's what shame sounds like. And sometimes the world is also projecting shame on us as well. And we need to be cautious of that too, because it's interesting with shame. Sometimes we're creating it within ourselves, but sometimes others are creating it for us. Now, it's our decision if we take other people's words, thoughts, and actions into ourselves and make it our own. But if we're not aware of what's happening and that they're throwing shame our way, we might be just letting that penetrate us. So that's really important to understand what it sounds like when we're talking to ourselves, and also when other people are talking to us. So when other people are talking to us, what does it sound like when people are projecting shame to us? One, the flat out, you should be ashamed of yourself. No, you shouldn't. But people use that phrase commonly, and that's not okay. Nobody should be wishing you shame. And if somebody says that or said that in the past, you should be ashamed of yourself. Just know that that's not okay, and you don't need to take that in. Other phrases about people projecting shame onto you as well. You should have known better, or how could you do that? You made another mistake. What's wrong with you? You know, it's that what you say and how you say it that people might be projecting onto you. And if you're not aware of that, again, it's going to seep in and you're not going to be clear. So good boundaries and knowing what it sounds like when somebody else is saying that's important. So where does shame come from? Gosh, a lot of it can be directly traced back to childhood abuse or neglect. So if you're with me here today and you experienced any kind of an abuse or a neglect situation in your childhood, one, I'm so sorry, and I'm giving that little kiddo inside of you lots of love and attention now. But it shows up a lot from our childhood into our adulthood if we don't take the steps to heal. So, you know, for an example, let's say you were like me, a very animated, excited child, and you had lots of excitement and things to share, but you'd go to your parents and your parents just didn't respond the way that you needed. Maybe they were disinterested or always put you down or told you that you could do better. Your joy didn't get matched, if you will. That's an example of neglect, right? And of course, we're very clear on abuse. So there's so many different scenarios that might show up, but any kind of neglect or childhood abuse, sexual abuse, physical abuse can show up as shame later on in life. Shame can also come from mental health challenges. So if you're here today and you have any kind of a mental health challenge, shame might be a part of that. But again, we're not labeling here. It is my belief and it is my knowing as someone that works with many people that hold shame. And I've worked with so many people and helped them heal their shame, regardless of what you're working with a mental health challenge or a neglect story from your past. It's okay. It's okay. It doesn't mean that healing's not possible for you. Quite the opposite. Other times, shame can come from when we deviate from the norm. Everyone's doing something, but we want to do something else, and we do that something else, but then we feel weird or strange that we're not like everyone. That kind of goes back to that secrecy thing, and then we feel like we have to hermit and hide our true selves. So shame can breed there. Sometimes it's like really created with our perfectionism, like we have high standards and we feel shame if we disappoint ourselves. Exclusion can offer a lot of shame too, right? You know, maybe I'll go back to that childhood. Maybe you were the last person picked for kickball always as an example, or you were never invited over for the sleepover with the friends. That can absolutely breed shame as well. And also unwanted exposure, maybe some sort of like an embarrassment situation to the extreme where you didn't want eyes or attention or focus on you. An example that comes to my mind is we're talking, I had really bad acne as a teenager, and my dad, when we would go over to my grandmother's house that usually had about 20-30 people there, he would just bring everybody over to me to look at my face and look at my pimples and to suggest ways to clear up my acne. And all that unwanted exposure, you know, that unsolicited eyes on me to fix me as if I was a problem, that absolutely created some shame. So lots of different places where shame comes from. And then there's many more that I haven't listed. And I'm just going to breathe here for a moment because we've already gone through a lot of information. I just want you to kind of just sit back and integrate what's come up. Like, was there an aha moment for you? Was there like, oh, wow, I need to do some more research? You know, now's a good time, maybe just write a note of, okay, this feels good. I like this. And then while we're at this beautiful pause, I want to introduce some affirmations to really help you on your shame healing journey that I think will help. So here's two that I wrote myself. The one is, I heal and forgive myself for harms I and others have caused. I love myself and accept the past. I'm going to give that again. I heal and forgive myself for harms I and others have caused. I love myself and accept the past. And the second one is, I trust divine timing. I believe the universe has placed challenges in my life so that I can learn and grow. And I'll give that one to you again too. I trust divine timing. I believe the universe has placed challenges in my life so that I can learn and grow. Beautiful. Let me take a sip of a drink here. Okay. So you're here focused on healing shame. You're here because it's showing up behaviorally for you in a way that doesn't serve you, maybe internally or externally. And one thing that can create some awareness for you on this journey is understanding what the compass of shame is. And you can just Google that, compass of shame. A psychiatric by the name of Donald Nathanson created this. And it's just a really great framework to understand maybe some of the toxic looping you're in. If you can pinpoint what stage you're in, sometimes you can get yourself out of it. But I also like this framework because, again, it's science, it's proof that you're not alone, that many of us experience this. So the compass first starts with withdrawal. If you're experiencing shame, chances are you're isolating in some way. You're running and hiding. Maybe you're not answering text messages. Maybe you're not going out like you used to. That's one of the main steps. So again, if you're unsure, if you're experiencing shame, or you don't know where you're at, withdrawal. So that's anything where you're just like not going out, right? And sometimes it might just be not going out for a run, like you're really just harboring yourself within. Right after that, typically comes the attack, right? You know, I hate myself. I'm no good. I wish I would die. All of those toxic things that you don't need, you putting yourself down will usually show up. And then, and again, you can bounce back and forth and live in these two sections at a time. There's the avoidance. There's the absolute denial or escapism. This is where a lot of like unhealthy thrill seeking comes in. Maybe it's unhealthy sexual behavior or abusing drugs or alcohol, avoiding it. And then it'll also show up by you attacking others, where you turn the tables. You start attacking your boyfriend and nitpicking your boyfriend on little things, and you blow up and accuse your mom of something, and you just start lashing out and blame the victim. You play the victim and blame others for your unhappiness. So just be cautious of that. All of that signals shame. And if you can pinpoint where you are on that compass, you can directly look up resources to help you. All right, so now let's get into the good stuff. You now have a solid understanding of what shame is, how it shows up, some of the behaviors. So how can we lighten the load? Well, first thing is compassion and self-love. Compassion and self-love. And there's so many ways you can accomplish that. One, find community. Find community. If maybe you feel like you're not in a place to help yourself, maybe you can be an ear for somebody else. Maybe you can just create space and support for somebody else. Or maybe you do end up sharing your story and positively impacting someone and yourself. So community is beautiful. Oftentimes there's different support groups, different trauma circles. There's so many different things that you could look at. Don't wait to feel better. When I'm working with my clients, I hear this often. Well, once I feel better, I'm going to start doing these things. No. Start doing these things first, and then you're going to feel better. So get out of that mindset. What is self-love? It's different to everybody. Sometimes it's a long bath, sometimes it's a book, sometimes it's a walk, sometimes it's positive affirmations, sometimes it's a new shirt. But don't wait. Do these things now. It's really, really important to give yourself the compassion and self-love. There's actually a chemical component. When you give yourself self-love and compassion, it neutralizes the poison of shame, the toxins of shame, for lack of a better term. So it's really, really important that you do what you can to soothe yourself and to encourage yourself and to love yourself. So let me share just a few quick stories with you, and then I'll give you a little more to consider. One I'll share is I started smoking cigarettes when I was 13, and at that age, I was proud that I was a smoker, and I made it a part of my identity. But by the 2021, I had black rotted teeth in the back. I was embarrassed that I was addicted. I was ashamed that I was addicted. That I couldn't control myself. I knew I smelled bad. I knew my teeth were rotting, right? I just kept all of those feelings in for so long. Oftentimes I'd yell at my partner for smoking. I was such a hypocrite during that time. Sometimes when I'd get mad at myself for smoking, I'd like smoke an extra pack that day, almost again like that escapism, right? So I'm just sharing this example so you see that you're not alone with the things that you've done, or the things that you're experiencing. I've been there too. I was able to come out the other side. I don't smoke anymore because I started doing the hard work. I did quit smoking. I went to the dentist. I was so shame-filled. I didn't want anyone to see how black and rotted my teeth were. I had anxiety. Actually, the first time I went to the dentist, now that I'm thinking about it, they actually had to give me some sort of a pain reliever or relaxer because I just wouldn't stop shaking. And so the moral of the story is I don't carry shame anymore about being a smoker. There's times I wish I didn't smoke, right? But it's also taught me a lot about being human and addiction, and I wouldn't have it any other way. So getting to that other side is possible, but just know you do need to make the changes. And yeah, it's scary as hell. Like me at the dentist having to have a pill because I was shaking so much, because that's how much shame I held. It was like literally coming out of my body, but it is possible. For time's sake, I'll just leave it at the one story, but no, I have many more stories. So if you want more of my shame stories, reach out to me. You can actually send me an email. I'd love it. I'm at drdanielleclark@gmail.com. But I'll leave you with that because I want to give you a few more tips. So you've heard me talk about this before, but one of the biggest things in healing is stopping the negative thought loops. So early into this episode, I mentioned those negative thought loops. It's toxins going right into your body. It doesn't serve you. So the specific details of what you're holding shame about, that specific event, maybe there's an exception if you're working with your, trained therapist or counselor or doing a specific activity, but overall, just continuing to play the bad over and over and over again doesn't teach us anything new. In fact, studies have shown the more that we recall memories, the more blurred they are, and the more we add or delete from them without even realizing it. So just stop that. The details of the story don't matter. Let's move forward. So when you have that image come into your mind, you can change the energy. You can just start clapping. You can get up for a big stretch. You can start washing the dishes. Just change it. An overwhelming sensory experience can be beautiful to kind of stop that thought loop too. Yoga is really great for that, right? They'll light some Palo Santo. So then you've got the smells, and they'll tell you to like focus on the sensory details of your arms, of your legs. So you're fully immersed, right? So anything that gives you a full sensory experience, same thing, a nice day at the park, right, can kind of help. And just recognize and respect your triggers. Recognize and respect your triggers. So for an example, let's say some things that your ex-boyfriend did, or things that you did in a relationship are really triggering you. Well, don't go on Instagram and hang out on his profile, right? It seems so obvious, but we tend to trigger ourselves, right? Again, that self-sabotage thing. Don't do it. Don't do it. All right, other things, mindset. Mindset is so important when you want to heal shame. This is probably one of the best tips and techniques I can give you all episodes, so thanks for hanging in and staying strong. It's really important that you separate what you do from who you are, right? Just because you cheated doesn't mean you are a cheater, right? It's so different, right? Just because you lied doesn't mean you are a liar, okay? Just because you were a victim doesn't mean you are a victim. Separate what happened to you from who you are. Who are you? Who are you? You're a light being. You are loved. You are a beautiful child of God. You're a dog mama. You're a cat mama. Like whatever it is, identify with that. Use your imagination. Manifesting is great for creating hope, creating a new story. A lot of people don't like to use their imagination. They say it's not real. It's so real. It's all energy. We have this beautiful tool for a reason. Create a new, beautiful, vibrant reality filled with self-love and beauty and hope in your imagination. You're going to start feeling it, and the universe is going to start attracting energetic likes to that. So if you're high vibing and you're love filled, you're going to start seeing more love flowing your way. And throughout this process, because I know I've given you a lot, like, whoo, and take what serves you and just put the rest on the back burner, or don't even take the rest, right? This isn't meant to be like, okay, go do everything. It's like, no, what feels good to you? Tap into your intuition. What's a few things you want to put into practice? Doesn't mean you have to do everything. And it's so important on this journey, it is a journey, to accept that this is a slow process. Sometimes it takes people years, decades to heal from shame. So make sure that you're gentle with yourself, and make sure that you do expect some more judgment, anxiety, and shame in the process. You can't get upset just because you watch this video and you change a few things, or you do this or that. Doesn't mean all of a sudden you're cured. And I think that's really important. Just because you might feel shame a few days from now doesn't mean you're not on your healing journey. Sometimes we do need to re-experience things to re-understand things. So just be good to yourself. And remember through this journey, that you are good. Remember your goodness, trust your goodness. I know you feel like that monster, but you're not. I promise you, you're not. You found me. Like attracts like. You're not a monster. You're here because you're light, and you don't need to be perfect. You just need to be you. All right, my friends, that was a lot. Thank you so much for doing the hard work for me, for yourself, and for humanity. I will remind you, please go to my website, drdanielleclark.com. Check out my blog. I'd love if you joined my community onwards. You can sign up with your email, subscribe to YouTube, find me on Instagram. Like, just keep on coming. You give me the power and the inspiration to keep having these healing conversations. Next episode 6, I'm really excited to inform you that there is going to be a guest host, and that is my good friend Kate Stakem. She is an intuitive guide and an evidential medium with her master's in social work. She currently practices as a licensed therapist as well as a psychic medium. You can learn more about her at katestakem.com. Next episode, episode 6, she is going to be talking about living in a body as a spiritual being. And I'm so excited for this because she's going to be talking about, how being in a physical body can sometimes create a barrier for us to link into our spiritual selves and beyond. And she's going to give some tips and tricks for us to just feel whole and connected, even though that having this physical body thing is kind of hard sometimes. All right, my friends, I am sending you love and light. Please remember, it's the cracks in your heart that let the light shine through. And for those of you that are tuning in live, I'm so excited. We have the half hour for live Q&A and live reading. So please hang tight, and I am excited to connect for you. All right, bye everyone. Be well. Take care. Bye.